Greetings, YouTube. Every single day I carry a number of tools on me. I've shown you my knife before, but one of the other tools I carry is this. This is a Victorinox SwissTool, and in my opinion is the finest multi-tool made by man, for a number of reasons. Well, first of all, it is, of course, a pair of pliers. Sorry for the glare, it is very shiny. And that's one of the reasons I like it, because it's stainless steel. Also, the metal in here on this corners, right here, when it's open, is rounded over. So when you're holding it as a pair of pliers and you're gripping on it, you've got a round corner against your hand. I've seen multi-tools that have this kind of an edge, which is just a flat, deburred metal. That's kind of painful when you're trying to grip something, and I've actually had to use this before to grip a nut. Really had to reef on it, and because of that rounded surface, it didn't hurt my hand all that much. Just didn't put a lot of pressure on it, so it wasn't comfy. But other reasons I like this is there's a scale on both sides. I'm not really sure if you can see the scale. Yeah, I can kind of see the scale, and it's metric on one side and it's imperial on the other. And believe it or not, I actually use this not infrequently. I find myself, because you can actually take it like this, you can measure big things, or just use it folded up if you need to measure something small. And I find it handy, particularly if I need to just put something like this, and I can then measure the height of something. I use it at work for stacks of metal inserts. I can count how many they're in an inch, count how many inches of inserts I got, and know how many inserts I have with an approximate number, which is handy if I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to have enough to last the entire shift. All of the tools on this are accessible from the outside while the pliers are closed. This is a key feature, and this is one of the reasons I bought this model. Another reason is that all of the tools lock in place. There's a little lever here, you pull on it, and they close. Now that's the wood saw. And when we have the classic can opener, which will actually open cans, I have used it to open cans before. Bottle opener and a screwdriver, and I've used that to open bottles. These are actually beveled, and they're for stripping wires. I actually believe I used this once. This, however, is a chisel, and that's kind of actually handy, particularly for scraping very carefully. You need to scrape piece of like a sticky label off something. Found that quite handy. A very broad screwdriver, which can also be used as a pry bar. I've used it as both. A standard Swiss Army spear point blade. And we have a metal file. The metal file has two different grips, rougher on this side, smoother on this side, and for filing, and then we have the actual teeth, and I've actually used this to cut metal before. This is a very small, fine screwdriver, which I've used before, quite handy. Then we have the classic Phillips head, which I have used frequently. Then we have a leather awl, and I actually use this a lot. It's great for cleaning underneath your fingernails. For poking things. I use it at work occasionally if I have to poke a hole into a piece of plastic, and I've actually used it to punch holes in leather. And then we have the last tool, which is a serrated knife. There we go, you see the serrations that way. And this is very good for cutting cardboard. It just goes right through it. Now, I've been carrying this particular tool for about a decade, and I've never had to sharpen either of the blades. Now, admittedly, I carry a knife, which I do most of my cutting with. When I'm cutting cardboard, that happens fairly often at my job, and I don't have anything else to cut it with, I use this. And I've cut hundreds of pieces of cardboard, and it's just as good now as it was the first time I used it. Which is a good thing, because sharpening a serrated edge is a pain in the butt. The other blade, I don't use as frequently, and it stays sharp, and I keep it around so that when I need a sharp blade that's fairly thin, this is very much like the other Swiss Army blade, knife blade, which are thin, I have it available. I researched this tool for a good year before I decided to pick which one I was going to use, and I was very glad with my original purchase, and a decade later I am still very glad with my purchase. This is an earlier model. This is the first model that the company produced when it entered the multi-tool market. So this is not the same tool selection as available as a couple of the newer ones. There's two models, I believe, at the moment. One called the Cyber Tool, which has a little techie gadgets for like computer users and stuff, and the other, which has a standard array like this, but there's a slightly different. I think they put a pair of scissors in there. They took the wood saw out, and the serrated knife has an inward curve, which can be used as a seat belt cutter. Though frankly, if I needed to use this to cut a seat belt, and if I was in a situation where I needed to cut a seat belt, I'd cut through the seat belt. I can't recommend this tool highly enough. It looks as good now as it did the day I bought it. I keep it clean. I have access at work to air guns, so I make sure I blow out the grit and grime on a regular basis. There's no wiggle, no play. It is nice. You can hear it clicking. It's nice and firm. A pair of wire cutters in there, which I've actually used often to cut plastic zip ties at work. We use zip ties to hold things in place, and this is very good at that. Now, one of the few complaints I have about this is these actually aren't all that pointy. When it comes to needle pliers, they're fairly thick, and they're not that long. If they were another 1/4 inch long, and they were just a little bit more taper, I think you'd get slightly more utility out of them. But this was, again, their first try at a multi-tool, and out of the gate, I thought it was the best design on the market at the time, and I still think it's the best design on the market. I highly recommend it, and if you're looking for a multi-tool, this is the one you should get.